The moment this young Filipino singer stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage, no one expected history to be made, but within minutes, the impossible happened and Simon Cowell was fighting back tears. This is a story about love, loss, and a voice powerful enough to change hearts across America. If you believe music can heal and stories like this deserve to be heard, make sure you subscribe now, because moments like this don't come often. The lights of the America's Got Talent stage glowed brighter than ever on that unforgettable night in 2025, but behind the curtain stood a man who had traveled more than 8,000 miles carrying nothing but a dream and a heart full of memories. His name was Miguel Santos, a 30-year-old singer from a small coastal town in the Philippines, and while the audience saw a calm face and gentle smile, inside him was a storm of emotions that had been building for years. For Miguel, this stage was not just a competition platform, it was a promise he once made to someone he loved more than life itself. Miguel grew up in a modest home near the sea, where the sound of waves mixed with the music of old love songs his mother used to play on a small radio. His father was a fisherman who left before sunrise and returned long after sunset, and his mother sang while cooking, cleaning, and comforting her children through hard times. Music was never a luxury in their home, it was a necessity, a way to survive when money was short and hope felt distant. Miguel learned early that songs could say the words people were too afraid to speak. As a teenager, Miguel discovered his voice during church services, where his soft but emotional singing would make people stop and listen. It wasn't powerful in volume, but it carried something deeper, something that made listeners feel understood. Still, life had other plans. Miguel never attended a music school, never owned professional equipment, and never imagined himself on an international stage. Instead, he worked long hours at a local market selling fish during the day and singing in small cafes at night, earning just enough to support his family. Everything changed when Miguel met Elena. Elena was a nurse who volunteered at a local clinic. She had a quiet strength and a smile that made Miguel forget the weight of the world. She was the first person who truly believed that his voice could take him far beyond their town. She would sit in the front row of every cafe where he sang, looking at him like he was already a star. When Miguel doubted himself, Elena reminded him that love, when expressed honestly, was the most powerful sound in the world. Their love grew during difficult times. When storms destroyed fishing boats and work disappeared, they held on to each other. Miguel began writing songs inspired by Elena, songs about waiting, sacrifice, and hope. But life tested them in the harshest way possible. Elena was diagnosed with a serious illness that required long-term treatment. The cost was overwhelming, and Miguel took extra jobs, sang longer nights, and even considered giving up music entirely to support her. During her illness, Elena made Miguel promise something that would change his destiny forever. She asked him to never stop singing, no matter what happened, and to one day share his voice with the world. Miguel promised, not knowing how heavy that promise would become. Elena passed away quietly one evening as Miguel held her hand, humming the song he had written just for her. The pain shattered him. For months, Miguel couldn't sing. The cafes felt empty, the songs felt meaningless, and the sea that once comforted him now reminded him of everything he had lost. Many people expected him to move on, but grief does not follow a schedule. One night, while cleaning old belongings, Miguel found a letter Elena had written before her passing. In it, she reminded him of his promise and told him that love never ends, it only changes form. She told him that every time he sang, she would be there. That letter became the turning point. Miguel realized that singing was not reopening his wounds, it was honoring her memory. Encouraged by friends, Miguel auditioned for America's Got Talent. The idea felt impossible. He had no manager, no connections, and very little money. To afford the trip, the community came together, holding small fundraisers, sharing his performances online, and sending him off with prayers and tears. When Miguel boarded the plane to America, it was the first time he had ever left his country. Standing backstage at AGT, Miguel watched performers from around the world, each with their own dreams and fears. When his name was called, his legs felt weak, but he walked onto the stage with quiet determination. Simon Cowell, known for his tough criticism, looked uninterested at first. Howie Mandel smiled politely. Heidi Klum leaned forward with curiosity. Sofia Vergara waited to be surprised. Simon asked Miguel why he came all the way from the Philippines. Miguel paused, took a breath, and spoke honestly. He said he came to sing for the woman he loved, for a promise he made, and for everyone who believes love can survive even the deepest loss. The audience grew silent. Miguel explained that the song he would sing was called The Power of Love, but this was not just any version. It was rewritten with his own words, inspired by Elena. As the music began, Miguel closed his eyes and sang the first note softly, almost like a whisper. The room leaned in. His voice carried pain, warmth, vulnerability, and hope all at once. As the song progressed, the lyrics spoke of holding on when everything falls apart, of love that stays even when someone is gone. The audience members were wiping tears. Heidi covered her mouth. Sophia's eyes glistened. Then something unexpected happened. Simon Cowell, the judge famous for emotional control, looked down and took off his glasses. By the time Miguel reached the final note, his voice trembling but strong, the entire theater stood in silence for a brief moment before erupting into applause. Simon stood up, visibly emotional. He admitted that in all his years on the show, moments like this were rare. He said Miguel did not just sing a song, he told a truth that everyone in that room felt. Simon confessed that the performance reminded him of people he had loved and lost, and that music like this was the reason shows like AGT existed. The judges gave Miguel 4 yes votes, but the real victory was already clear. Miguel had connected with millions watching at home. The twist came later that night when a clip of Miguel's performance went viral across America and the world. People shared stories of their own losses, their own loves, and how Miguel's voice helped them feel less alone. News outlets called it one of the most emotional auditions in AGT history. Back home in the Philippines, people gathered around televisions, crying with pride. But Miguel's journey didn't end there. In the live shows, he continued to sing songs centered on love and healing, each performance deeper than the last. In the semi-finals, he revealed another twist. He announced that part of any prize money he might win would go toward supporting free medical clinics in rural areas, inspired by Elena's work as a nurse. The audience responded with overwhelming support. Though Miguel did not win the final trophy, he won something greater. He signed a recording deal, performed at charity events across the United States, and became a symbol of how love transcends borders, languages, and even loss. In interviews, Miguel always said the same thing. He was not singing to be famous. He was singing because love asked him to. Today, Miguel continues to tour, carrying Elena's memory with him in every song. He often looks into the crowd, imagining her smile, believing she is listening somewhere beyond the lights. His story reminds us that the power of love is not just in happy moments, but in the courage to keep going when everything hurts. And now, as this story reaches you, remember that a single voice, when filled with truth, can change hearts across the world.